Welcome back to another innovation review. Today, we're checking out the GoVelo from GoPowerBike. This step-through commuter is a pretty interesting bike for two reasons. The first is the price. Coming in at just $1,500, the GoVelo falls well into the affordable price category for e-bikes. And for the second most exciting reason, well, we'll get to that a little bit later in the review. So for now, let's dive into the specs. First, let's talk about the motor. Let's talk power. The GoVelo's beating heart is a robust 750 watt motor. Now, I was expecting to see a 350 watt or 500 watt motor here when I was told how much it retailed for, but GoPower really went the extra mile to get the higher spec motor. This bike reaches a top speed of 20 miles per hour, so it is a classic Class 2 e-bike. Kind of a tongue twister, but that's what it is. Next, let's talk about the battery. No e-bike journey is complete without discussing the battery, and the GoVelo doesn't disappoint. The 48-volt, 10.4 amp-hour lithium-ion battery fuels your adventures, offering a blend of power and efficiency. Charging time is impressively quick, getting you back on the road sooner, while the estimated range is noteworthy. Let's dive into a reasonable expectation distance by dividing the watt-hours by 20. It's an indicator of real-world performance, though it's not an exact science. So while the marketed top range is 35 to 38 miles, the real-world distance is probably closer to about 25 miles with a good mix of pedaling and throttle use. Now, 25 miles is still a great distance if you're looking to commute to and from work. So if you're looking to commute about 10 to 12 miles to work, then you obviously, you got to come back from work, then this should be able to do it on one single charge. Next, let's talk about the frame. Crafted for both style and substance, the GoVelo boasts a 60/61 aluminum frame that's sleek and sturdy. This e-bike's weight and load capacity make it versatile and accommodating, catering to a wide range of riders. The low standover height of 17 inches ensures easy mounting and dismounting, while the reach length here offers a comfortable and balanced riding position. One of the things I was struck with when I was riding this around is it is a fairly upright position, a little bit more forward than straight up and down, but still overall has a nice upright riding position. Next, let's talk about the suspension. When it comes to a smooth ride, suspension matters. The GoVelo suspension system is designed to tackle various terrains, though the tires and travel are more accommodating for the cement jungle. Now, that didn't stop me from taking it off-road in the real jungle, but that's later in the ride test. Spoilers. Next, let's talk about the brakes. The GoVelo has mechanical brakes and 160mm rotors, and while we would love to see hydraulic brakes on e-bikes these days, they did work well and stopped us in a few different situations, so nothing to complain about, but I would love to see hydraulic brakes on the next version of this bike. The brakes do also have motor cutoff inhibitors, so there is an extra safety feature here, and something that we see standard in a lot of e-bikes these days. Next, let's talk about the gears. Gearing up for efficiency, the GoVelo's drivetrain system enhances your riding experience. The 7-speed Shimano Touring derailleur is a proven component from a proven brand, and it's cool to see name brand parts here. Everything in this department worked well, and we didn't see any ghost pedaling at higher speeds, which is another thing we'd expect to come across at this price point. It's not here, so that was a pleasant surprise. Next, let's talk about the extras. Beyond the essentials, the GoVelo comes with a host of additional features that make your ride all the more enjoyable. And 3 of those accessories are my second favorite thing about this bike. It's got everything you need for this to be considered a commuter e-bike, and at the price point, this is a very cool combo. Now, those 3 things are a rear rack, fenders, and an integrated light, which basically means you can carry stuff, stay dry, and see the road at night. All good things, in my opinion. So who is this bike for? The GoVelo would make for a good cruise around the neighborhood ride, but it is also a very affordable commuter, making this thing a jack of all trades, if you will. It's budget friendly, decently spec'd, and all around a pretty solid value. Now don't get me wrong, internet comment people, there are some upgrades to be looked at, such as the grips, saddle, maybe adding an integrated rear light as well, but for the price point and what you get, still a pretty good value. Do you know what else we should add on right now? A ride test. Alright guys, we're out here for the ride test on the GoVelo from GoPower. As we've talked about in the review up to this point, this is a step-through commuter style bike. Now this isn't something that's going to go incredibly fast, but it is going to be one of those bikes that's a little bit more efficient, and and it has its use case as far as a commuter goes. We've got pretty much everything that we need for a commuter. We have got the full set of fenders, front and rear, integrated light up front, and then we've got a rack in the back. So that's pretty much the 3 main things we look for in a commuting bike. And as you guys know, you can pretty much commute on anything. As long as you're riding it from here to there, it's a commuter. But with those specs, it sort of hits that commuter bike for us. So basically, we've talked about the specs and stuff, so we're just going to hop on and do some riding. So let's go ahead and do that now. One thing I am going to do real quick is lower the seat down a little bit. Now, this isn't going to be the perfect geometry for me. As you can tell, that's pretty low, so I'm about 5'10", so where I had it, probably pretty solid. This is probably for somebody who's a little bit closer to 5'5", 5'6", something like that. It is a pretty approachable bike. It's got a nice little step through here, so very easy to mount and dismount. Go ahead and check the, see, I'm gonna be riding about like this. That's probably pretty good, huh? Check the camera. I like it. Let's do it. So to turn it on, we'll go ahead and turn it off real quick. Turn it on. We got the power button right here. So we're gonna go ahead and hit that. Kaboom! And it's gonna tell us a couple things. I'm not sure if that's coming through on the GoPro or not. Looks like it's flickering a little bit, but I think you can kind of see most of the stuff here as long as I don't move it. That's weird. But so we've got 3 different modes. We've got our speedometer here and then our battery life. So not a whole lot of information here. There's probably a couple more things that people might like to know about, but this is a very easy to use, simple platform. And the fact that the screen is integrated into the stem here means that it's pretty sleek, right? So let's go ahead and we've got it in E, which I will be calling eco mode. Go ahead and hit the throttle here, and we'll just start cruising. So now the throttle is going to be controlled by what level of pedal assist we're in. With Commuter specifically, we like to see that the throttle kind of goes top speed all the time. That way, to walk you through the scenario, if you were going, 5-10 miles per hour, something like that, you're just kind of cruising along, and then a situation comes up, and you've got your eyes on a swivel, you're looking around, and you're like, oh, I need to punch through this zone for whatever reason, car, pedestrian, other bicyclists, whatever. You can do that with the throttle. Now, with this one, it is dictated, so as we go up to D mode, which we'll call drive mode here, it is gonna go a little bit faster, and then as we go up into S, which is sports, or maybe even sexy mode, depending on what you're doing, I guess, on the bike, then it goes a little bit faster. And use the brakes. Got a real life test here. Got a truck barreling down the road. He's probably going the speed limit, so I say barreling. Don't want to disparage the guy. He's going the right speed. So we're gonna go ahead and do a little turning, get up on this path here. Now, as far as this path goes, this is a pretty solid spot for this bike to be. Nice and smooth, plenty of room to maneuver. We've got a really nice, comfortable setup here. Now, it is a little bit more of a forward ride, and the main reason that is because we can't adjust the stem. There's a lot of those built-in displays. As far as I know, most of the stems with built-in displays aren't also super adjustable, right? Now, if this was a bike and the display was somewhere else, it's pretty easy to upgrade that. You could spend another 10, 12 bucks, whatever, to get a Pro Max adjustable stem, something like that extends it out to sort of fit you a little bit better. But because it is integrated into the display, we are kind of tied to how the stem fits, right? We could do like an extender and things like that, but if you're gonna buy it the way it comes, it is a little bit more of a forward ride than it looks like. I guess that's one of the things I was surprised about was, I'm like, oh, I am kind of leaning a little bit forward. It's not uncomfortable, nothing like that. It's a little bit more forward than you would think based on looking at the bike. So as far as ride feel, we've got the suspension up front, doing what we want it to do, and so it is a pretty comfortable bike to ride on. I am kind of a fan of the saddle, actually. Now, I haven't been on this specific saddle before, but it fits my seat bones well, and so for the most part, really enjoy it, and I think it adds to the ride. So go ahead and do a brake test. Go at about 30 kilometers per hour. Go ahead and hit those brakes. We can skin them a little bit. Now, one of the things with mechanical brakes is, we could probably tune that up a little bit and get a little bit more responsiveness. It still is going to be quite a bit of hand power to stop that, compared to a hydraulic brake or something like that, where less pressure is required, and it usually stops with a little bit more force on the back end if they're tuned correctly. And it also has cruise control, so we're going about like this. That was, I guess, too short of a period. And use that bell here. So we're coming around the corner. Now, the bell looks pretty cheap is when I saw it. I was like, oh, they just kind of threw on the bell. It's pretty loud. So although this is a safety feature, it is it's not an expensive safety feature. It does add, they get some safety points there for having a bell in here. Yeah, that sounds pretty decent. It sounds better than you'd expect, is what I'm trying to get across here. Now, as far as responsiveness from the motor, it is pretty responsive. Like, there's not a huge time delay between pedaling. Now, the difference between cadence and torque, we talked about that in a couple of different videos. But essentially with pedal assist, there are, two main types, which is cadence and torque. So torque is gonna measure the force that you're putting down on the pedal. Now, that is a little bit more of an engaged ride. It's a little bit more active as far as telling, what you want it to do. The motors tend to be a little bit more responsive. And then with cadence, what we find is magnets on the side, right? So it's just reading the magnets going around. So it's purely a revolutions / speed of pedaling to give us different assistance out of the motor. Through the dirt right here. Now, this is the part where we do our impossible hill climb test. And we're gonna go ahead and probably shift it down. Nice easy shifts as well, which is always nice. We get a lot of bikes, and some of them need a little tune-up and some of them don't, so it's always a bonus when they don't. All right, so we're going about 13, 14 kilometers an hour here, and you go up this hill. So it was struggling a little bit, but the motor definitely made it. Go and hit those brakes on the downhill here. Stops us, very nice. Now, as far as upgrades or things that I would look for in the next model, hydraulic brakes are pretty high up on the list because I can't skid, I'd like to just kick it out and skid around, but these mechanical brakes here, they stop well. Go ahead and do a throttle only. The impossible climb here. It is so close. So close there. Now, this isn't a bike that's going to be, tackling a ton of hills or anything like that. It's really more designed for this type of environment where we're just kind of cruising along. Go and shift up here. And we'll cruise. Switch over to the throttle. Switch over to pedal assist. Now, one of the things that I do like is that there's not a huge delay between pedal assist and throttle. I personally like to switch back and forth of those quite a lot. So having something that doesn't have a huge delay there is a big bonus for me in my riding style. If you don't know your riding style yet because you're looking to get your first e-bike, well, that's something you're gonna have to figure out as you do it. And experience is the best teacher as far as, what your riding style is. But if you've already ridden an e-bike and you know what you're looking for, then, things like that can kind of help you narrow down your purchasing decision here. Now, as far as ghost pedaling goes, pretty much nothing. Our top speed is 32 kilometers per hour here, and this is a good pedal cadence for this speed. So I think they pretty much nailed it as far as the gearing goes, which, as you guys know, if you guys seen any of these videos, it's a common question, like, hey, is there ghost pedaling? When does ghost pedaling happen? And with a lot of those bikes that have 7 speeds, which this is also one that has 7 speeds, but with a lot of those, they tend to mess that up, unfortunately. They put a bunch of tech into it and they forget that they're producing a bike first and foremost. But GoPowerBike seems to have that figured out, which is nice. So, go over here. Now, this is an environment where the bike is not, I say not supposed to go, but not designed for. Go ahead and pop up here. Do something crazy. You guys want to do something crazy with me right now? Let's do it. Maybe the heat. The heat might be driving me to craziness. It's like 106 degrees out here or something. So we're cruising down here. Okay. All right. You saw that. We got some air. Now, there's a lot of spots here, especially in Houston, where we kind of have this loamy sand vibe. And what tends to happen is the tires kind of get squirrely around a little bit, and doing a little bit of that, but so far, so good, handling itself pretty good. See if I say that and then I just smash my face into the ground. That's why we wear a helmet, isn't it? Yeah, so like this spot's, you know, pretty sandy, a little bit squirrely here, but that would be doing that on, you know, any bike. I've fallen plenty of times on my mountain bike with, you know, actual, oh, it is loamier than usual in here. It's the loam test. All right, so, I mean, she's handling it, but I'm having to make some micro adjustments on the fly here. But we got some air on it. There's a lot of fun. That's loamy. That's loamy, homie. But hey, she's doing well. But then we get to the spots where a little bit more hard packed, handles really well, and the tires are not designed for this type of environment either. This is sort of an extreme example. But if you're like, hey, I need something that can handle some of these environments, whether you got, you know, a shortcut you like to take or what have you, it's nice to know that the bikes can do this, even though this is not their designed environment. And as long as it's not too loamy, it really is handling itself pretty well here. Do my best not to crash. All right, we get a little bit of a drop here. Nice. 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 Handled that section well. Yeah, and honestly, fairly impressed with the performance and handling, even though, like I mentioned, this is not the environment this thing was designed for, but it is handling itself all right. Gonna do a little braking here at the end here. Oh, now it skids. Now it skids. Where were those skids earlier when I wanted to skid around, huh? Come on, GoVelo, what are you talking about? Put a little bit of effort, that gets you up the hill real nice. So motor-wise, not something that's gonna be just throttling up hills, but if you put in, just a little bit of work, having the assistance is nice, and it's gonna make some of those hills seem a little less steep for you. Now, this is the part of the review, right? Where we decide what we want to do. Do we want to go the easy way home, or do you want to go the fun way home? And based on how I phrase that question, you guys already know what I'm gonna choose. So let's go the fun way home. A little mountain biking adventure on the city commuter, the GoVelo from GoPowerBikes. Gonna get into some craziness here. And just in case I do smash my face a bit, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm saying that as I'm getting into some loamy sections here. Probably gonna be tired of the word loamy by the end of this video. But guys, I appreciate it. Appreciate you hanging out, watching the videos. It's it's really the reason that I get to get bikes and ride them around and give my opinion on them is, I've got an audience of people who like watching videos. So thank you. I do enjoy what I do, and I'm glad you're here for the ride. Woo! And with that, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Whoa!